security when someone has access to the data room in the racks?
It's full security, video monitored, key cards, so you swipe in, swipe out. One camera right now, soon to be two, so every aspect of that room will be video monitored. And that's pretty much it with the budget right now. Any questions about that at all, or still under the district model?
I just have one question. Could we get a final balances of how FY17 closed out?
Yep.
Please? Like a year end?
Yep.
Thanks.
No problem. Any other?
Trying to remember was it part of our public safety building that was getting also a new tower? Or is that a separate capital thing we still got to fund separately? Do you recall?
So we do have a monopole structure that's in Rutland at the water tank site where we were going to put up that monopole. Looking forward further into it, we're probably just going to be attaching to the top of the water tank, so there will be no use for the monopole. So we're looking at actually moving that to the public safety building and making a redundant link. If the Southbury site goes down, we'll still have the police department site that it'll bounce off of.
Okay. Because I just remembered when I met, you were talking about different tower sites, different maybe fiscal year or some type of capital plan.
Yes, that
And
was.
I couldn't recall where Barry's stuff landed and which location that was. Is that the public safety building that was on that list?
That's one of them, yes. That's going to be further out. FY17 is actually the Southbury site, which is downtown road, the industrial communications tower.
Oh, we're jumping on that
Yes.
tower?
We have money for that. The engineer's still working on the exact plans for that because we can only attach to it once with no fee.
That's our town right to the one
Yes.
location we're allowed to attach on?
Yeah, you can attach to it, no fee, one time. So we have to plan for the future, attach other equipment that we're looking at in the future for this one time so we don't have to get recharged later. Because they can charge us for any additional equipment that's added at a later point.
Okay. And that's not included in any of these figures?
No.
Okay.
No, and that would be totally grant funded.
That's the plan.
Constructing that, yeah, that would be part of the development grant. So that would be part of that.
Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you for the grant work you did.
No problem. All right. Now, the district model, did you have specific questions that you had at all that you had concerns or more information that's needed or?
I had two bigger concerns.
Okay.
One is I understood the kind of the requirement for certain positions that would no longer be strictly Rutland or any other municipal group.
Yep.
To now, so you'd be the director.
Yep.
Then you would eventually need, whether you need it right away or you need it from a local town support, a treasurer and account to create separate accounts and a separate budget and a separate entity.
Yep.
Is what you would need to create. And part of my concern is with the general idea of going to a district, the idea was to be able to bring in more towns.
Yes.
The more towns you bring in, the bigger that central administrative group for this entity would need to get. And therefore become less of a piece of another town and then become a full-time member that all towns have to share as the workload starts to build up.
Right.
And so a little that was a concern of mine was that, and then generally as I feel is I have a slight concern, and this is just me, but anytime you create a municipal entity, they like to grow. That's what municipal government does. That's what state government does is, now that I exist, let me make sure there's a reason you want to keep me around, and then here's the budget, so I can do why you want to keep me around. And this is just being very generic in the way I'm discussing it, but the idea is, rarely do you create something that then doesn't grow and require more resources to maintain. And even though you're bringing in other towns, there's gonna be a limit where you hit the boundaries of what you can do.
Right.
Whether it's just geography, and how many towers does it get to the other side of the mountain?
Yep.
Or it just becomes you're running into the next district, or you're running into the next town that's already got its services. Like, you can't really go east. You run into Worcester.
Right.
Where you're gonna go from there? You're not really gonna go up and around, because by then, again, too many towers to get to the other side.
Yep.
That's just my opinion.
Yep.
I'm not saying I'm right, but that's just how I look at it. So you've got like this one little spot, and I understand it may look really good, grab them, but I'm still confused at the whole. I don't understand why another town would say it has to be district, when if an agreement is written without it being a district, it still serves the same purpose. Why does it not?
It doesn't, it doesn't. So I've spoken with Spencer and have brief conversations with Paxton. Both expressed that it has to be a district model to move forward. They all want that vote. They want to have the vote on.
The agreement can still be written to include everybody's vote. It doesn't have to be you're now defined as a separate district.
Right, but we're a host community. They do not, strictly against it. They do not want anything to do with a host community dispatch center. That has been expressed by Spencer. That was part of the attachment letter that was sent to the State 911 Department, that to move forward, our dispatch center would have to be remodeled, and they would have to form a district for us to move in. That all fell apart with the whole director transition, and since they've looked at the new one that's going up in Oxford, they have since pulled out of that one as well, due to some other internal stuff that they would be losing going there. So they're still on the table. I still want to explore that avenue with them, but to move forward, this is what all the towns are expressing. It has to be a district model. It has to be like Neshoba Valley Regional, which is a district model, the first proven district model, which, like you said, has grown. It has grown from 4 to, I think, 7 or 8 now, in about, I believe, 2 to 3 years. So it's a lot.
How much is the office moved?
Director-wise?
No, the physical location
Of that
of
department?
the RRECC.
Still there. Still in the
Okay.
same spot.
Which is where I'm confused by, how is that not just pretty much the same thing as a host community? Because it's still gonna have to be written into the district to pay Rutland rent, fees. It's no different than, and then Rutland's gonna have their big vote, and if they don't agree with it, then it goes back to the district to just accept it, or vice versa. So I just don't understand how this is any different than an agreement.
I'll have to look into that more. I don't know how to answer that one. Besides, that's what these communities want. And
How does the voting structure work? They need unanimous vote on a district, or do they need a majority vote with the members of the district? Because that could be a difference.
You mean
What's-
to put this in place?
To put,
To
let's
put a
say,
district in place, does
No.
that require
once
that?
we're functioning, if we were functioning as a district, and you wanted to put your new budget, new policies together,
Yep,
if, right now, we all need to agree to it for this to go forward.
right.
In a district, is that the case, or can 4 people push it down the 5th person town's throat and say, we've got a majority vote? That,
Exactly.
okay, so that's a difference. You lose a chance of stalemate if you don't like it.
If we had a district,
Right now,
what
it's
sort of autonomy does the district have?
you get autonomy going to a district, whereas right now,
We have no
you
say.
have none.
We have no say, but
Right, like financially, budget-wise,
They'll end up having to do their own benefit plan for their, as if
Right,
they're
but-
their own town.
exactly.
But
Like another school committee.
It
sort
would be
of.
very much like working with Bob in school right now.
Yeah, that's, and it,
And here's my concern, like we're dealing with the schools right now, is we have, students are down,
Yeah.
cuts back our funds, is making the school difficult to budget. both ends of that. How much volume can you handle there before we get into needing more staffing and more equipment that's gonna start to become more expensive? And is it really smart to get into that much more volume, or is there a comfortable, efficient point that we're at that we should stay at? And once again, if things cut back and downsizing in the future, populations go down or needs go down, or someone pulls back out, then are we stuck trying to fund a facility that's too big that one of the towns of the district pulls out? What if Spencer backs back out
So,
in 2 years, and now we have everything established and we lose a key town? Now we're left holding the bill for a larger
yep.
portion.
So to answer some of that, while working on this whole budget plan with the state 911 department and talking with Frank and some of the other key players there, their direction is to regionalize the state. Regionalize all these little towns, move them here, Paxton, go here, and then further down the line is to consolidate regional centers. So currently, right now, you have
That's scary.
Wachusett Regional and you have Rutland Regional side by side.
Right.
One of us is not going to be there in the long term. One of us is going to be consolidated to
So
another department.
where is this dictation coming from to consolidate?
The state 911 department.
Okay.
Are they
So
explaining why they
that's
see that
their
as a benefit?
Cost.
They think it'll
Cost,
save money.
Services, yes.
Basically off the.
Have they presented a reason? That's where I get confused, and I'll leave it at that.
I think it boils down to the state doesn't trust the towns to take care of their own needs. I mean, you see this over and over, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's been.
They don't like small town government, and we
Yeah,
went through this with DOR. They've tried to consolidate towns in the past. They've called for elimination of towns. That's what it's about. I mean, let's lay the cards right on the table. I don't favor a district.
Okay.
It removes control from our voters. This is just totally against my perception of municipal government. And, you know, and I'm not sure it would pass if it ever got into one of our town meetings. I don't really know one way or the other how the dispatch is working, but I can tell you in Barry, from voters and citizens I've talked to, there's a perception that this thing isn't working. I'm not saying that's the reality, but that's the way it's perceived. You know, I can't
Where are you getting
speak.
that perception from?
Oh, that's, everybody go around town. It doesn't reach all of our town right now. It, talk to people around town. I know that there's people that work for the town that have that feeling.
What doesn't reach the whole town?
Would-
The reception,
break-
radio reception,
What?
Yes, yes, I believe that is a concern.
which that's going to be solved within the next few months.
Right, I understand that, but,
That's,
you know, it's a perception that we had to build a tower and so on that wasn't planned, as I understand it. You know, I don't think we've saved any money. I feel that public safety is the, and I'm not suggesting that I think we've done a poor job, but I'm just saying there's a perception. And perception is a pretty difficult thing to overcome. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily the way I perceive it, but I think that public safety is one of the prime duties of a municipality, and we are gradually giving away this responsibility. Gradually. It's not happening overnight. This is just another example that they can come up with a better plan than the individuals. I know that there was another town in this area that wanted to back out of their agreement. A little to the northwest of here, I read in the newspapers, and they got questioned by the state why they wanted to do that. And it's like, it's really not the state's business to question, you know, an autonomous municipality as to what they're doing, why they want this. And that's the only way I see it, that there's a perception they can do it, plan it and do it better. And I'm not so sure about that.
I know the state really wants this to work because this is basically how every other state in the United States works. There's not 365 or 390 dispatch centers that the state is subsidizing. So they're throwing all their money at creating
Right.
these dispatch centers and making sure that they work properly. So I think that,
Well, that's what they're saying, but I think there's ulterior motives behind this. I'm not and I don't want you to think that I'm some crazy, but I could make the case, and I just did to the Department of Revenue, and I think they were surprised what some of us knew. And, you know, that to me says it all. I personally don't favor that. I don't have a problem with a contractual thing, but I don't favor a district that would be autonomous, just send us an assessment, and then, you know, you more or less, once a couple of other towns voted, the farm's pretty well been bought at that point. So, just so this is my view,
Oh.
not the board's view, I'll have to
Yes.
read this, but, you know, we're not at that point, but.
My bigger thing is I really didn't see any numbers about what a district would cost.
Which we're not to that point yet. There's been a lot of work to get to where we are right now, but to move forward, we just want the towns to support the idea, to move forward with investigating more and coming up with more. That's what we're looking at. We don't want to go through all the work time and all that if we're,
Well,
like, if the town is totally against district model, then there's no point in moving forward, because it's, right now, we need all 4 towns to agree to move forward.
See,
So,
but just so you know, the biggest difference in my mind is the money.
right,
However that's written, doesn't matter, that could just be called agreement versus district model.
sure,
It's just contract language saying, how do we get along?
yes,
So, I appreciate it, I'm not denying that it was still an effort, I'm not
Yep.
saying it wasn't an effort. But for me, to really look at that and say, well, is that a benefit to my town, is
sure.
completely empty.
Yep.
I can't say I support it, but I won't say I won't support it
Yep.
based on that. All I'm saying is, looks to me like centralizing another autonomous thing that the town now has to answer to when it comes to our budget and going to the town. They do a great job with the schools, but they're now an autonomous district that pretty much says, here's your budget, take it.
Which is why we.
You'll be the
still-
next one that'll be doing the same to
Well,
us.
We
We have a
stalled it-
school
we
committee,
stalled
we
it
are
early because of
represented,
this.
just like we'd be there.
But you would have a little more autonomy on this. You would have a member of your select board who's part of the administration. You would have one of your finance committee members as part of the financial. You guys would approve the budget.
How many
before
school
we
committee
move.
members do we have?
We have
3.
5.
So it'd be 4.
5 in Barry?
So ours,
Five?
I think it even changes based on population assessment, the number of representatives you have.
Yep,
So we have a significant representation on that board too, but they still come back and say, here's your number. I mean, they were good with us this year and they work, but it's not often that either one, they feel comfortable that they can work with us on it, or that we're in a situation where we really need to beg them off and say, hey, this is too much. And it's been a rough couple of years, so we worked through it this year, but generally, they give us a number, and then you end up just kind of stuck with it. That's the number you get, and you gotta throw it in the budget and say, hey, everybody, this is what they get, this is what they get, and then let's us cut every other department because we gotta fund these 2 sources. Because we can't cut you and we can't cut them.
right. Going district, you actually have a member of your finance committee on the board that approves the district's budget. My budget doesn't go through without your finance committee, same with all Hubbardson, Ocam, and Rutland's finance member or appointee, whoever. That budget doesn't get approved unless the 4 members of that financial board agree on it. It's not me making it and saying this is what we need to do.
Will
The
there be-
financial board is actually responsible for the
Will there be
improvement.
time allotted for that member to come back to the town and discuss the offer and the intent prior to making their agreement? In other words, is our member expected to go make this agreement on their own, or do we have a chance to discuss it with them so they can really bring our opinion forward? You see what I'm saying? If,
Well,
when you're processing the budget, before
Yep.
people vote for the budget,
Right.
okay, will we have an opportunity for our members to present that to us and get our consensus
Well,
on
your
it.
administrative board will be part of that as well. One of the select board members will be a
One,
member of that,
in
which,
one, right. But
Yeah.
we're talking about,
which would be brought to that, which at that.
right now, we have full board
Yep.
disclosure and control,
Right.
which is,
And we can work those
I
details
can
out in
even-
that
Exactly.
language.
Right, I
Just
could
a
even see a-
draft,
I could even see a time to come back so the full board has a chance to deliberate it, much like a union negotiation goes, where you can have input in between if you want, or not if we choose not to.
Still has to
Right.
go to town meeting for appropriation.
Right.
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 But my opinion as far as,
Oh, I don't know how that works.
as far as the regional dispatch anyways,
If we don't approve the
Right.
assessment, I don't think we can deny it. Once we're committed to a district, we're committed to what they tell us we owe.
Well, that's, I would say, if the whole district approves of the budget. So if we
Or
as a
majority.
town, if our representatives say, hold on, we can't do that, but the other ones approve it, then yes.
Right.
Well, right, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
that's
same
what- yes.
situation like New Braintree probably feels every time with the Quabbin School District, is like, why is Barry saying yes again? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, there are certain towns in our school district that probably look at us and say, could you fight back a little
they
or something, and we
Yeah.
It
aren't
depends how you
helping
structure
them, and we
Right.
could be the
Yes.
next town like,
It depends on if you structure that
Depending-
as unanimous,
Right.
majority,
Majority,
or
yeah.
supermajority.
Right.
understood, and I agree with that.
In our
So,
agreement, though, you know, a couple of them get together.
In a way, don't let one stop it, but-
Now, in its
Kill the whole
current, in
budget.
its current form, what is the town's kind of ability to control the budget? You
We
know,
have none.
Have any say in the budget?
No.
None right now.
Right,
None.
it's whatever Rutland
Yes.
appropriate, basically says what the
No,
budget is.
because our agreement still is based on appropriation. So if our town doesn't vote it in,
Right.
they've got to adjust their budget to deal with it.
Yeah, but what
At
he's
least-
saying is
yeah.
we have no
It's,
say.
I mean,
of-
it's
Yeah.
not
We
the
have no
same
say
on
of
the
getting
district
to the
Right
side.
now,
Yeah, you would have more say in a district model of having an individual on a board that would approve,
Right.
would approve that budget rather than just
work on the
they,
budget.
you know,
Yeah.
they approve the budget and then come back to Barry to say, this is the number.
Can I ask a question? Of all the other towns, where do they stand?
Rutland, Hubbardston, yes. Ocam needs another meeting like so to discuss some other issues. Theirs was.
Just curious.
Theirs was autonomy, which I'm not sure if they're getting the right information because, like, right now, they don't have autonomy. Going this way, they do. So I don't know what their issues are right now, so that's something I still have to figure out, but that's the only other.
I was just wondering where
Yeah.
everybody else
Yep.
stood.
Rutland
Like if
and
you were
Hubbardston.
one down and
Nope.
everybody else wasn't, I'm just
No,
curious
it's
where the
half
weight
and half
was.
right now, yeah.
Well, my questions were about the volume and the handling of the volume, because when I go back to pre-regional, I'm familiar with a lot of fire scenes, and we get large events, storms in towns, we just dealt with our own town. But even that was very confusing, with one dispatcher doing police and doing fire. There were times you would wait, there were times you get frustrated, there's times in the middle of the night when calls would come in, and the dispatcher, literally, you could tell be waking up, and very hard to get the information you needed. So, from my experience in the fire ground, things are flowing much, much better through regional. And when you have a major event and there's multiple towns, we have TAC channels. And you can still conduct multiple towns on channels if need be, but, or multiple events in one town on one TAC channel. But we've had some busy times,
Yep.
and they've gone fluently, very fluently. And we've had some major structure fires and mutual aid events that get called in. That inn burned up in near the ski hill
Princeton.
in Princeton. That was a lot of towns going there. A little confusion at one point on, I think, a task force for tankers is a phrasing issue. But there's a lot of resources put together in a very short time. And when we have police issues and fire issues, we can take attack and get off the main channel for the police. And there's multiple dispatches to pile up when it happens. So the efficiency as far as service to our town, I think, has improved tremendously with the regional dispatch. So I'm not objectionable to going larger, as long as we have assurances that we don't, outdo the staffing, that we're understaffing, so that, obviously, if we put new towns on, it means more positions.
Right.
You can only do so much when it's not day-to-day, it's when an event comes through. It's when the thunderstorms roll through, and we all get hit in this region at the same time. and we have, flood issues, lightning strikes, structure fires, car accidents, limbs down, and these things all come in at once. That's my concern, is that when we get to a district level, because still this whole district will be hit with these storms normally at the same time.
Exactly.
There are a lot of storms, one town gets it, one town doesn't, they split, but there are times that it hits the fan all at once, and that's my concern, to make sure that's addressed.
Yep, and that's all pre-planned, all dependent on staffing, is all dependent on call
Callbacks and
numbers
things.
and population. Like a town like Paxton, we would not have to put on additional staffing. A town like Spencer, we would, due to the call volume and population of Spencer, how busy they are. It all depends on communities at that point. Paxton would be no additional personnel would have to be on, so that's not an additional cost that's going to be added to that budget. So it actually reduces the assessment without having to add any more funding.
I mean, everybody grumbled about it in the beginning because it was different, and there were hiccups in the beginning, between the
Still
different
working,
towns.
Yeah.
But in general, I think we get good information, we get good directions when we ask for directions to go someplace, especially out of our town, which is more important. We pretty much know we're going in town. But I've been, myself, very happy with the regional dispatch, and I think it's working very well. Despite what people may think in town, apparently, I think it works very well.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Kathy?
I have to tell you, Craig, I think pre-regionalization, the dispatch was just as good as it is right now. It depends on who you talk to. And Michael, you got a small building there.
Yes.
Are you gonna have to build a new building for this? Because now you're gonna put in these towns, then you want offices for the accountant and the treasurer. You still have the fire department in there, so are you gonna need a new building for this?
So the state 911 department does not grant any money for new buildings.
Right.
They will remodel or rehab other buildings. Currently in this FY18 development grant, I do have a proposal in there to do a space needs assessment, looking at other town buildings in Rutland or any other communities that will fit with our IT infrastructure. There is 3 other buildings in Rutland that we're looking at. With those buildings, it all depends on what happens with their departments, because they also have they're looking at building other buildings for them. So if that goes through, some of these buildings, like, just throw one out there, the community center in Rutland, which is on Glenwood Road. That building right there is a great place that we can move into. Expansion is pretty much unlimited at that point. Offices, training room, bunk room, pretty much everything that we would need to grow further into what the state wants to do is a great place. If there's other places in Barry that are town-owned and available, or we'll look into those as well.
You mean to move the whole dispatch center into?
Right, if our IT infrastructure will coincide with that building. The buildings that are in Rutland will, due to the fiber connections that we have through all town buildings. So moving to one of those buildings is pretty much no problem.
But any fees for renovations are up to the townspeople.
No, for the
911.
renovations is through the state 911 department. They pay for all that.
All of it.
Yep.
How many times have we heard they pay for all that before,
Yep.
number one?
They do that. They're doing it for Oxford right now. They're renovating a school right now for the new Oxford Regional, not Oxford, it's, I believe it's Central Regional Dispatch Center. They're renovating the whole school for that. That's what the development grants are there for. They're competitive. So it is up to the state, so who they pick and where the money goes. But speaking with the state, if you have communities ready to sign on, ready to come in, or you have letters of assessment, your chances of being awarded development grants are higher, due to the fact they want regionalization of work and they want it to grow.
And it sounds like Spencer, especially Spencer, is going to be really picky about what they want and what they don't want to come into a regional center.
Yep, they have a few internal needs that they need met to make it work. Please
So
stand
the
by
4
our
towns
side.
that are there now have to agree to do all that, to have Spencer come in
Into the Oxford one?
into the Berry.
No, if you were
Into the
gonna
Berry one? it
bring
would have to
Spencer
be-
into the
Right.
district, do
Into the
we know
district.
what
Into the district.
Spencer would
All
require
towns
for
would
the
have to say.
district?
Right, all towns
Right.
would have a say whether or not.
Right
the
now, we
community-
don't.
Right, it'd be
You-
up to.
Rutland.
I would have to look at the IMA, I'm not sure if it's just up to Rutland or if all 4 communities have to agree on it
I
as
didn't
well.
think it did.
I'm not sure.
I think there's some level of any change to the agreement requires agreement by all
And I
parties.
think
I'm not sure
one
if
thing
that's in there.
we,
Yeah,
just
To bring him in would be
Bring
the
him in,
main
yes.
change that would then
Change, yes.
require all towns to
Yeah.
agree to it.
and just to remind everybody that the board can enter into a contract on its own. But if we go to a district, it's gonna require a full town meeting vote. It's a change in the structure of our community, I'm absolutely certain on this. And it would require town meeting votes to have a district.
not quite sure of that yet.
Oh, that-
I have a follow-up phone call with the State 911 Legal Department tomorrow regarding that, so I will definitely have a definitive answer for
I
you.
am pretty certain about that, because it
Yes.
Thanks
involves
for the proactive.
something
We'll need
different on
that.
contract.
Thanks for the proactive, because we'll need that info
Yeah,
also.
Yeah,
figure that's something, and I'll have figures as well. I think
Okay.
you're looking for
we'll
figures.
try to wrap this up. One last question.
That was our biggest concern earlier, was the
Figures.
financial impact.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we don't want to spend more money for a similar service,
Right.
and especially where it's an unknown service.
Okay, Kathy?
And one more question, Michael.
Sure.
If you do add Rutland, Spencer
Spencer.
and Paxton
Yep.
in, do you add another dispatcher to the shifts?
So Paxton, if we added them alone, we would not have to. We wouldn't have to add anybody.
But Spencer comes in.
Bringing in Spencer, possibly, yes. Either, we would definitely have to move to 3 on a shift. Possibly some overlap of 4, not quite sure without all the figures in front of me.
How many people would that take to fill that extra shift position? 1.5, 2 full-timers?
So we get the 9th already, to stay where we are, possibly 1.5, I think.
Okay.
Right now, we don't have a big part-time pool, but that could be something in the future, depending on where the union contracts are and if the part-timers get moved into that union. It all depends. The part-time rate is pretty attractive compared to a lot of the communities around us, so can't hold part-timers due to
Right.
the size of the facility, the amount of calls. It's different from a single community dispatch center, so a lot of the part-timers can't keep up with the skills, and it's hard.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. All righty, so we will hear more from you on this.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Well,
will,
we thank you for your input and appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Okay,
time.
and do you have any questions?
Exactly, I do really appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
I may be a little gruff, but I don't,
It's quite all right, don't worry about it.
but I do appreciate you. Yeah, if that's the worst you get. I appreciate,
Yeah,
I'm sure it's not.
we appreciate you taking the time to come in.
sure. So the main things are financial impact, as well as district model changes, the legal aspect, and anything else, I just want to make sure before I
Yeah.
make
Yeah,
sure
it's-
I hit everything.
I'm curious too, when it comes to the model, what percentage vote, I think that would be important.
Percentage vote, yeah.
What kind of percentage vote's gonna take to drive an agreement on
Which
the
right now,
budgets?
I don't believe there's any language in here, which this is a draft.
Yeah,
can
that would be
change.
important, whether it's
Yeah.
simple
This is very-
majority, or as you said, super majority, or unanimous.
Yep,
Um,
which that could all be voted by yourselves.
That's
or the other
important,
communities. Yeah.
important to know.
And it's still early stages, we're still at the
Mhm.
very beginning of this, so. All right. Perfect.
And just bear in mind that I speak with a little experience. The district agreement with, like Quabbin Regional, and I'm sure like Wachusett, we had certain provisions in there, and the state came in and unilaterally took those provisions out. So we're on a slope here, And to me, it's really none of their business what 5 towns in central Massachusetts have for an agreement with each other.
Right.
And I speak, you know, with I've done some of the school district agreement stuff, and
Yep.
they took certain things out because they said this was the Department of Education, but, you know, I could envision easily this happening with this.
Sure.
And that is a very realistic concern.
And if they want to pull things out, we can not sign the agreement. I mean, if we're not happy.
Well, I
with
think
how
once
it
you're in,
happens.
you're in.
Well, not if they pull things out and change the agreement, you can always sign.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, if it's not what we've agreed to, we're not in if they're changing it.
Yeah,
Um,
but anyway, we
yeah,
thank you
so-
very
Cool.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. Good seeing you again.
Yeah, it's nice to meet
You're
you.
right.
It's nice to meet you.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, I guess we're back to what, the IT contract?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it drafted fine?
Copy right in front of you.
Here is the final version of the contract. I went through and kind of looked back at some of Phil's notes that he had from some of the past discussions on it. So everything should be in there that was noted. Went through that today just to make sure before the meeting. But please let me know if there's anything that really pops out as being out of the ordinary or something that you may have discussed that didn't make it in there. It is for a 38-day period, or a 1-month period, beginning today, approved by the board. And we've already talked about that. Tomorrow, first thing on the agenda is to begin looking at the, going out for a request for quotations for more of a long-term solution. Probably starting with a 1-year. Possibly just so that way we can get a firm contract in place while we kind of develop a better, solicitation on a 3-year model.
So we've reviewed the entire document.
On that one.
You happy with it?
For the 30 days until we can, as a bridge document, yes.
And without me trying to read, because I'm not going to have time to read every word here.
I mean, it's
What-
pretty
what-
boilerplate
What we
stuff.
were looking for is to make sure that we continue we were having 13 minutes, 3 hours a week, so we wanted to make sure that our projects can continue.
Right.
And during the discussion, it came up that if we hired the company and not him, that he would give us the 13 hours and give us tech support, unlimited access for, I forgot my password, I need to restock my garbage stuff that's been chewing up his 13 hours.
Right.
So that's the changes we were looking for, that it was 13 hours on our projects, and that without charging us extra, was going to be the tech support for the phone calls, and the fee was set at, I don't recall.
A little over $2,000.
Yeah, so, but that's what's
The
pretty
big-
much reads.
Yeah, the biggest thing, I know that's all I know, but the biggest thing is going to be making sure that public safety building is ready to go. It's going to be the first thing I want to talk to them about, is to make sure that that building is done and that the police department can move.
Right, 'cause that's very quick.
I believe these cameras are supposed to go down there.
These cameras? No,
He did mention the cameras in this building.
these are not the cameras in the building. This is,
Not the broadcast cameras,
Yeah.
you're right, I just
Yeah.
meant the security cameras
yeah,
in
the
this building.
cameras,
Yeah.
the
Because
cameras
they're
here.
compatible with a certain system versus another.
No, these cameras here aren't going. They're gonna be getting new cameras. It's the licensing for
Okay,
this
the licensing
system
for the camera system.
carries over down there with them.
Okay.
Just the licensing. Some of these cameras,
Some of
Are
the cameras,
old,
some of the
outdated.
cameras have to go down, so licensing extends down there, and
Gotcha.
they put different cameras in
So
here.
something has to
yeah, the
happen regarding
licensing
this.
will follow them.
Yeah. I'll touch base
My
tomorrow.
It's a
apologies.
licensing
Plan.
issue with some of the
Yeah.
cameras that are coming up versus if we're gonna replace things here, you didn't wanna give them the same license here. Could be separate license from there, so. the
Okay,
license is
so
over
we set
there,
the new
and
one
that
then?
stuff is coming. But,
Either way, it's a lot of work that needs to be done in a very short period of time.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm ready.
Supplied us all his comp and stuff that we asked for his copies of the comp and liability, those are both here.
And also a copy of the opinion from the AG's office for conflict of interest.
And they're, of course, okay with that, I assume.
Yep. There's no
Okay, good.
break in service for him, so they were okay with it.
In that case, I make a motion that we accept and sign this contract with
Okay.
Suzerit Consulting Services.
Okay, do I have a,
I assume it's
Second.
Suzerit.
Who's the appointing authority on this? Disclosure of non-elected municipal employee financial interests.
what do you mean,
Well, there's something here saying determination by appointing authority, and it's written in there, here's the answer of the appointing authority without the signature by the appointing authority.
Come from the AG's office.
The AG does not appoint Adam to any position with this town. Determination by appointing authority. As appointing official, as required by Mass General Law, I have reviewed the particular matter in the financial interest identified above by a municipal employee. I have determined that the financial interest is not so substantial as to be deemed likely to affect the integrity of the service which...
Okay, so you guys,
And it's not-
you guys have to just make a motion to accept the financial disclosure,
mm-hmm,
and that's,
So
That's
it's
all
that's how
you
the,
as the appointing authority,
Correct.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
what came from the AG's office.
Correct.
As a,
yeah, so that basically that's you guys saying that you accept his financial disclosure that he's disclosed with ethics and he's disclosing it to you.
yeah, and he's required by law to disclose tax compliance and to have a public contract.
I'm just saying,
Maybe make a
who
follow-up.
signs this?
you would as,
Each
Yeah.
member of the board or just the chairman?
Or you could even have Andrew sign
yeah,
it,
you could
make a motion to accept financial disclosure and to have the town administrator sign. I think the past disclosure that the board had signed, it was a disclosure Heather had submitted. It was her disclosure, so she was unable to sign off on it.
Yeah. In general, does the Board of Selectmen hire most department heads? Go through the interview process and hire the department heads like we did the police chief?
I'm gonna tell you yes and no.
probably only if it's a strong chief under your,
I mean, did the board hire or go through the interview process for the treasurer?
Yeah, that's why I said some, but not all. The DPW commission, they choose superintendent, they choose sewer chief, water, you know, so yes and no.
So in a way, we would play that similar role on this side of the administration of the,
Yes.
so in other words, yes, we
You're
would be the
recommending,
appointing
yeah,
authority of,
the
and the
administrator.
town administrator would not,
the
for
administrators
this
of
particular
recommending-
aspect.
Yes, you could.
Because we're not just authorizing someone else's decision when we hire a department head here, we're actually involved with that decision and making the decision. Where if a department head then chooses someone below them, that's where we're just signing the wage authorization and saying, yeah, that's your decision, because it's one step removed from us.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to see if I am viewing this the same way as we do.
Mhm.
Then I guess it would be up to us and we would have to agree. if
So we want to
accept
name the
this.
board as the appointing authority, make the title an interim IT subcontractor
Mhm.
or agent.
No, name of appointing authority would be,
Town of Barry.
Town of Barry.
Town of Barry, Board of Selectmen.
The Town of Barry is the
Okay.
authority for this position.
Yeah, it can be the Board of
Um,
Selectmen.
And appointing authority, that could be us or it could be Andrew.
Yeah, if you make a motion and you designate Andrew, I mean,
But
it's just,
we could designate him as the appointing authority on this. Or we could do it ourselves.
I think if we're gonna do it, we would just do it. We don't need to ask him to do it for us.
I didn't
Don't
know
get
how
me
many,
wrong,
I didn't know
it's
how many
just-
signatures
Just makes
there
one
are on
signature
there.
that way, that's.
Right.
It's just a big box. You can probably put in 7 names and numbers as much as you want. It's,
How
Um,
about this?
hold-
What if not doing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not looking to sign the
Oh.
original.
I'm saying-
I'm just looking to make.
What if I was
notes
to make a
about-
motion to make Andrew the appointing authority on this issue?
I wouldn't second it, but you could
That
leave
was
that
it.
up to Charlie.
But
Nothing against Andrew, I'm just saying I wouldn't second it.
Then it puts it down to, and this is part of why I was happy to see we selected him as our administrator because of his IT tech, understanding and knowledge. And I would like to see him to be the authority on this. I don't want him to be our IT director, because that's not his job, but I would like
But-
him to be the IT authority for us in town.
Okay,
I
let's
think
vote.
Matt's just referring to the financial disclosure.
Yeah.
That's
Claire?
all.
Well,
Yeah.
but this is determined by appointing official. This is,
Claire?
I think it should be the Board of Selectmen makes the appointees for the town.
Or it
You
is,
shouldn't be
Yeah.
passing it off to somebody else.
the contract is with the Board
Yeah,
of Selectmen.
yeah.
This is a disclosure
should-
that we,
You should be the.
No, see,
this is a little different.
no,
Okay. So-
just so you know, this disclosure is saying the appointing authority, not figure out who that is. It's, you are the appointing authority, and it's your job to sign this, not go find someone else to sign it for
well,
you.
would we like to look up the general law, 268A, Chapter 19, and see what it defines as the appointing official?
The
268A.
selectmen in any town do the appointing.
Yeah, but this
They're the-
this is just an authority to accept his financial disclosure, rather than try to
Yeah,
pack.
his
Does it have-
insurance bonds.
Does it have a section?
Section 19, well, Chapter 19. It didn't say-
26A, Section 19,
268A, Section 19?
yes.
General 268A, Section A, Chapter 19.
Yep. Municipal employees, relatives, or associates' financial interest in particular matter, except as permitted by paragraph B. A municipal employee who participates in as such an employee in a particular matter in which his knowledge, his immediate family or partner, or business organization in which he is serving as an officer, director, trustee, partner, or employee, or any person or organization with whom he is negotiating or has any arrangement concerning prospective employment has a financial interest shall be punished by fine not more of $10,000 by imprisonment. So basically,
This is
It's
saying they just gotta file this
disclosing-
and we're playing our
he's
role.
disclosing he's the owner of Suzer IT.
Right.
That's all. So
Right,
you
that's-
guys just need to make a motion to accept the financial disclosure from Adam and sign it.
Okay, why don't we do this? We'll
Sorry.
accept the contract and then we'll come back to this. Does that seem fair
Yep.
enough?
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor already. I haven't got a second yet, but if I have to, I'll second it for the sake of discussion, exercise. This is for the contract itself, it's not for the disclosure. I'll call for a vote on the contract.
Aye.
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 Okay, now we're back to the signature issue.
I'd make a motion that we accept his financial disclosure as a board and we all sign it.
Okay. I will second that. Discussion? No? Okay, I'll call for a vote in favor.
Aye.
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 Okay. That's settled.
Now we all just need to sign it, that's all. So now we're back to the, now
Yeah,
we're back
that's
to
an
this one.
original.
What's your office number? What is it again?
2504.
2504. I just recommend some.
All the
similar
same line
language
there,
as this,
appointing
and how you
authority
do it
signature
is
page.
Very select board,
And you
members
can
of the
write-
board,
yeah, you can write
administration is the department. West Street is the address,
We'll let you fill it in.
phone number.
It's 40 West Street.
You can fill it in when it comes over to you.
Okay, we have the regional building
Do you have any-
inspector's contract.
See if he's-
What?
Do you see any issue with
Oh, okay.
my recommendation of how to fill it out? Just, I don't want to do it without telling you what I'm supposed
No,
to
I'm
do.
fine.
That's all. I don't want to just, I know we make it more complicated
we
probably
have
than it
the,
needs to be, but that's municipal life.
Just the
Regional-
financial disclosure.
Building inspector's agreement.
Yep. So Brianna brought us this. We're the last town to sign. Everybody else is signed. There's 4 copies in here.
Okay.
Any changes since our last viewing? This is as we put it forward, I assume?
I don't know.
Matt?
Looked good to me when I reviewed it.
Okay.
It seems
Yeah, I read it.
consistent with everything we really.
Yeah, good.
I'd make a motion to accept and sign the
Okay.
agreement.
Second the motion.
Okay, discussion, hearing none, call for a vote in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Boy, our counterparts in Peterson have impressive signatures.
2504.
I'm sorry?
2504.
Mine
It
won't
looks
be.
like something you'd sign,
Extension.
well, I don't know about the Declaration of Independence, but
135.
Yep.
And we are the 17th today?
Yes, we are, all day.
Yeah.
Running out of time in today, actually.
Who's getting this?
Yeah.
I'll take that
She's
back,
got
that's
the,
fine.
folder.
okay.
Did you sign all 4 copies, everyone?
I have it.
Just sign one.
Nope, we need 4.
Oh.
Because each town keeps an
Hammer you.
original.
Oh,
For
What
the-
is
well,
it?
let's keep
this
doing
is
it
these.
then.
I'll take it.
Oh, we only got one here.
Did you
We
pencil
don't
those
sign
things
the
in?
disclosure. Is there a contract signature line that I
There
also need to
must be,
sign?
yeah, huh?
We only got one in this
Did you, I
file.
put your paper
Nope,
up
what's
there.
in that
Did
orange
you-
folder?
There's
Oh.
4 of them in there.
Okay. I almost thought that was my folder. Sorry.
Thank you.
How about I use a different date every time, just for fun?
It's okay.
Sign the contract as well. Well,
Hmm?
rather than getting it all confused, I'll just wait till Donna passes back. We're gonna sign the contract. We signed the disclosure, but we missed the contract.
Okay.
Oh, that would help. Bless you.
Bye, Ellie.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Okay.
This is a fun discussion, that's all about, because
I'm gonna go sign anywhere here.
without discussing it. it's
Sign,
probably- you
print,
can't possibly
title,
get through this
date.
stuff without knowing. Yeah. There's no way. If you're gonna be included and understand it, then make sure you do. Spend some time discussing it.
Hey, we don't have a finance committee meeting on Wednesday at least.
Yeah. You'll have one
Let
soon.
me just forget about it for a couple weeks.
You'll have one soon.
As Phil was concerned, how long meetings take, as I just, it's nice if they go quicker, but there's certain things just take conversation.
Do you want me to keep going?
You may be well versed.
While
and
his
you can sit there
signature's
and go,
going?
"Oh, this-
Charlie, do you mind if I keep moving?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just keep.
So the next thing,
Yeah, we haven't,
next thing on the agenda is the town common gardens.
Okay.
So what this is I received some correspondence from a resident in town asking about who oversees the commons and the gardens within the commons. Because the gardens had not been weeded, so it was kind of becoming overgrown. So they had asked me what the procedure was with this. So I told that person that there wasn't a real procedure, but that we could put this on the agenda. You guys could talk about it. From then till when we posted the agenda, that person called back and said, I'd like to rescind that. I actually saw, and I don't want to offend anybody, but the comments have been done, they look beautiful. But maybe, so I recommended we still discuss it, hoping that maybe some other groups or committees or, you know, not
Mhm.
necessarily committees, but other groups in town or maybe businesses may want to look, in the future, we could look at maybe adopting, they could adopt some of our
we
comments.
don't do that already?
Nope.
Yeah, I always thought we did.
Nope. So I thought it would just be a good idea just to kind of put it out there that, you know, we do have some really nice commons. Southbury Common or Nornay Park and those, somebody does take care of those, and I believe there's a landscaper that has stepped up and takes care of them from what I've been told, but I'm more talking about, I guess, the commons up here, Center Common, North Common, South Common, all of them. So just something to think about, maybe somebody will be watching tonight's meeting, and
So who did do the weeding?
I don't know that. Somebody I can tell you has done it in the past. They've maintained certain parts of it.
Yep, I've seen people out there. And
Yeah.
I wish I recalled who people would go out there and they would plant flowers every year.
Plant flowers and maintain them.
Yep, and maintain them every year. And I don't know if that came from a town fund or from a group, or if it was an individual.
No.
I really don't know.
It's an individual.
They're individuals.
It's an individual, and I do know who it is. I'm not gonna disclose it. But I did speak to this individual and, actually today, and that individual did have a request. There was a spigot originally on, somewhere on the common, I believe maybe by the water fountain,
Probably.
and there's no longer a spigot. So now this particular person is hauling
Oh,
water to water the flowers that this particular person takes care of. And also, that person questioned why the water fountain wasn't turned on this year.
I thought it was for a while. For the,
I did have not noticed it on.
I thought I saw it on.
I thought it was on during the ceremonies and the parade day, but maybe.
Okay, we can ask,
So, just, I guess if anybody would like to take care of the commons, maybe they can send some requests in to the selectmen.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
just,
I mean, I don't know if we also wanna look at just, maybe developing a similar common committee like they have for the Southbury Common. You know, if
Yeah.
people are interested, they can come in and,
yeah.
put in an application for
Mhm.
the Berry Common Committee. And if we get enough interest, we can write up a charge and agree on it and kind of develop a new committee if there's an interest for
Maybe appoint a chair and.
having a little direction in general, so we know that someone's thinking about it, paying attention to it, and creating a plan to maintain it.
Yep,
It would eventually be kind of like what Southbury Common's trying to do now with their
Yep.
committee, and present a budget, say, yeah, we think we could do this, and here's a budget.
yep,
They would probably, it'd be a benefit if they would, if they're gonna do it, we'd be asking them to also keep on top of the gazebo in that building, as kind of reviewing the capital costs and the upgrade and the long-term interest, so that it becomes one less facility that technically the town administrator / select board has to pay attention to figure out what we're doing. Because in a way, it's, I'm just saying, it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt to kind of put it under the umbrella of some committee or group or
I
department.
think I like to keep the building separate from the grounds, but.
yeah, because we
I don't know how you
oversee
can
them,
separate it.
we keep them
Because
insured
it
by
is
the town,
It is a
so-
structure, yeah,
Yeah, and
that's.
it's, I mean, it would be nice if they could
And you
say,
ca-
hey, the
and you-
gazebo, we noticed X, Y, Z, but
Right,
not
and-
necessarily put the burden on them
Right,
to.
to maybe to keep an eye and inform us of things
Yeah.
in gazebo, but
Mhm.
when it comes to the structure, like I'm saying, I'll go look at the structure because I am a licensed builder. I can do things legally to it if it needs repair, and work with the building inspector, of course, to get things repaired properly. We don't wanna have a committee that might say, oh, we'll go fix a ramp and do something.
Well, I'm not suggesting they would do any work.
Well, I'm
I
just saying
meant
that-
just
that-
literally
that's
look
right.
at it, say this needs to be done, and if we ask, they might do a little due diligence to get some numbers and help us build a budget for it. Not saying they own it.
Instead of increasing our finances, our expenses, why not, like a lot of other towns have, Fay mentioned it,
Right.
businesses.
Yeah, they
Adopt
adopt
the highway, or
Yes.
adopt the thing.
Well, if you
Or a
drive
landscaping
through
company
Gardner,
might even
yeah, if you
offer
drive
to
through
come in and
Gardner,
do
some
it.
of the rotaries,
Yeah.
But we could
And,
form a committee that would look for those adoption people.
yeah.
and they
Some
could
of it
maybe
comes under the
handle who's
DPW
adopting
or
which
the Parks
section.
and
Right,
Government.
without
Yeah.
putting it more on our plate, once we
Yeah.
had a committee,
Sure.
the committee could find the adoption
and
process
it's-
without us having to do
Yeah,
that.
it's good that Matt mentioned that. Lester Paquin had said that that's the intention of that Berry Common Committee now, is that eventually when the project's finished out, that they would be hopeful that another committee would be formed, such as like Southbury Common. When that got rehabbed, then the committee was formed.
And they're
So-
taking ownership in it. I mean, you can tell with the Southbury Common Committee that they're taking ownership, they're active, so they're not gonna let it fall apart on them. And that's the same thing we're looking for a committee up here, that will take a volunteer aspect in a way. You kind of reach out to the local community that says, you know what, let's get something together, and we go do it. And that's what they do a lot down in Southbury.
So what we
But
could
they
do
So it'd be
is,
similar.
budget.
yeah,
Yeah, but if we
Right.
let people
They
adopt-
have, but that's because they're trying to balance the volunteerism versus, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna be able to fund it. But it's still a group that shows we wanna own
If you
this.
get businesses though,
Mm.
it's not costing the town any money.
but the
No.
committee maybe could oversee
Right.
solicitation, you
Yeah.
know,
Let the
that
committee
too.
oversee
Yeah.
solicitation for the
But let them
businesses.
do it. And
Right, we'd
Yeah.
form a committee and let the people who want to give their time oversee it, so we don't have to. But without
That's all
spending
I'm
our money,
saying.
they could
But we'll work
find the
that out
funding
when the
in
time
business.
comes,
Well,
if
maybe-
there's interest.
Maybe we
don't need
can,
to increase our budget.
maybe we can look at
Does it
what
all
the
by
charge
itself?
is for the Southbury Common Committee and review that charge.
It might be able to be an easy just,
Yeah. Somebody in South Barry plants flowers around some of the intersections where there are poles and the.
I think I'll give a little credit where credit's due. I think Mary Ann Gendron.
Yeah, well, I don't know if she did that one, but there's some,
Yeah,
Well, I
she's
do
good.
think that she organizes and spends a lot of time
Yeah.
with some other people,
Mary Ann does, but,
down
you
in
know,
Southbury Common.
people, there's a monument, I think to the Corso family, right
Uh-huh.
next to the post office.
Correct.
And there's flowers there.
Yeah, I'm not sure who
Maybe she
makes.
does them, I don't know who does, they're there. Somebody goes through and it's a nice thing to do.
look at it, see what we
It's a
can
very
do.
nice
Well,
thing
I'll try to find the charge.
it might be important.
Thank you.
To put a committee in charge of this, remembering that we just made it illegal to dig in town on the commons, to break dirt. So we need to put a committee in charge that has the authority to break ground, because we just stopped that.
Yeah,
People were digging with,
well, the
Yeah, but this
DPW
is
is
with the
in
exception
charge.
of
Did we not?
town
If the-
employees. But I think we excluded town departments.
I know, but it wouldn't be an employee, so if we're gonna, if.
No, it was town departments, so this committee could be considered a department,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I
But
don't know.
that just been important thing to think about
Sure.
when we phrase
But
it.
you're right.
That we did just say no digging on the commons, and specifically so people aren't
Make sure we
digging at
cover
common
that.
metal detectors, which is what would happen.
But
Conflicting.
more tailored to that.
Okay, we had some wage
Right, but still if
authorizations.
someone else decides they
Yep.
don't like those flowers, they're gonna take them out and plant their own. That's, if, you know, I mean, if we have an authority to plant a certain set of flowers, you don't want someone else to come in and say, oh, I'm gonna replace them.
All right, so the first wage authorization we have is from, is for a Charles LaPearl. This is just a step increase 1 year.
There
Okay,
goes your budget, Claire.
I make a motion to
We know
accept
step increases.
I know, I'm kidding.
That's a very.
step
I'm being
increase
smart.
for Officer LaPearl,
A second?
okay.
raised to $22.17 from his previous level of $20.57.
Okay, we have a motion, second, in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
The next one I have is for Andrew. We haven't done a wage authorization, for the contract, and that was at $72,000 for this year.
okay.
I don't know.
That wasn't for the whole
I'll
3
think
years?
about this.
Broken down.
I make a motion to accept the annual salary for Mr. Andrew Golis of $72,000.
I second the motion.
Okay, in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I wonder what would happen if we didn't do it.
Ego.
Oh, nice work.
Oh, yeah.
Peace out.
You get to sign all of that, Charlie.
No, I just need one signature.
Just-
Just-
yeah, so
I'm
it's-
like-
Well, you're
this one.
department head, personnel administrator, and select board in the hiring of our department
Yeah,
head.
he's the person, he can sign it.
Okay, so the next
That
one
would
we
be a
have.
big no-no, but yeah.
The next one we have is for Brian Gould. He's a part-time patrolman stepping up to step 2 with 1608 as his rate.
I make a motion to accept the increase to step 3 from step 2 for part-time patrolman Brian Gould.
Second the motion.
Okay, in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Check, check, check.
Want me to keep going?
Yep.
All right. We received a letter from DCR about their plans to acquire 25.8 acres of land, which is in Barry on, it seems like the Phillipston line. And
Let's get paid.
they enclosed a map in here for us, and
Thank you.
applicable regulations require that agency proposing to acquire maintenance. So they're asking for the board to announce that the Commonwealth is considering this acquisition for the above stated purpose at its next regular scheduled meeting. And the purpose of this was to be managed under the Quabbin Land Management Plan guidelines for open space, I guess.
Yeah, it's in their water shed.
So, whose land is it currently?
I'm not
believe it's a
100% sure.
Private owner.
So is this something we're losing on as a tax base, or are they gonna compensate
Well,
for
it
the
isn't
watershed?
very much. I mean, I'm not sure we,
They do make payments for their own
yeah, we get
land, but
payment
it's
in lieu
not.
of taxes on open space. And it's up off of Mile Road out in there. There's
Okay.
nothing up.
Kids are probably under 61A exemption already.
Yeah, it's a formality.
Yes.
And it does go.
Well, there's some houses out there, Mile Road, and you get way out to the other side, but
Yeah. But it is,
just curious.
it is land that's on
I
the
was
tax
worried
base
about
and
that.
goes off, but it,
It's really, depending where it is, there's swamp, and there's water, and there's other parts of the building, they're building, but there's always.
There's a waiver.
On the, I don't know where we are, Templeton, Phillipston, where it is on that side.
Barry doesn't do it.
Okay, so this is, just so you know,
We
this
do live in
isn't
the
like for
woods.
us to agree or disagree, it's just for us to make a public announcement.
yep, that's all it is.
And,
It's Templeton and Peterson.
Yeah, chair has to sign.
What's that?
Greg,
Phillipston doesn't
you
do it.
have the duty to make the announcement and then sign as clerk of the select board.
Yep.
I haven't-
And then there's another one waiving 120-day notice or something that would be your job, Charlie, to sign, I
Mhm.
guess, or something. They
are you
requested some
looking for?
waiver of
Where it is?
120 day.
Yeah, Claire said she didn't think Phillipston abutted Barry. We don't have that map.
I
on
can
here.
show you after the meeting if you want.
Isn't it on that map right there, Charlie?
Actually, I think it's
Yeah.
it abuts Hubbardston.
We butt Phillipston.
It shows
for a small part
Hubbardston
that's
town
not
lines.
road.
Oh, yeah, it's right up in the
No,
corner.
not this, I'm just saying.
It's Phillipston Road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. Phillipston.
No,
No, this is
she
Phillip.
thought that might meant it was leading into Phillipston, is, she thought the road
It does.
brought
It
process.
Hubbardston.
does.
Mile Road goes to
Templeton
what, East
and
Barry Road on the other
Peterson.
side.
Yeah, we have a small border
I thought it
with
was-
Phillipston. It ain't very long,
No,
but,
it's in the woods.
Where is it?
uh,
Because I know all
It's
that.
out,
Is it
it's.
Mile
look right
Road?
up in the
It's-
corner.
Is that
Right
Mile
off Road.
No,
There's a
Williams
line- I
Road.
can-
Williams
I can-
Road comes straight down.
That's it.
I'm curious.
See this right here?
Yeah.
We bought it.
Phillipston. That triangle right
My
here?
sons had this argument last
You
week.
got that little 100 feet of shared border.
Proved it for me.
Yeah, it's
So I know for a fact they overlap, it's like this,
Phillipston Road
it's
and
like
Old
this.
Peterson?
One guy's property.
Not all Peter, yeah.
The old Peterson is the one that comes out on
Yeah.
Pleasant Street there.
Very small overlap on the corners.
See,
I know this clear because my boys had an argument about it last week, and the older one proved to the younger one that we
road that
factually
turned
watered
into
it for a little bit in the middle of
Mine
nowhere.
goes right off
That is
Narrow
Phillipston
Lane.
Road there.
Yeah, it's right in that neck of the woods, but it's
When I was
It's in the
new
middle
in
of
town.
inconsequential,
My
it's an actual border
girlfriend's
now.
brother lives in
All right.
Phillipston up on Queen Lake.
Oh, so you tried to do the shortcut?
So we tried a shortcut one day and
You can't go through Narrow
we made it.
Lane. Yeah.
I'm telling you
Do you have
though,
four-wheel drive?
It's very
yeah.
Yeah, but you can't.
And we rode the high humps. We didn't let ourselves drop into the muddy ruts because of the season it was. It was like,
You
yeah,
used to be able
get
to
stuck
go
there.
there all the time.
Okay,
To
we-
drive.
Mm-hmm, okay.
We all set to move?
It started
Okay,
out
in one-
paved
in
up
one
in
moment.
Phillipston for about
What?
100
Wanna
yards
read
or
it?
something.
I will read this certificate of announcement for the Board of Selectmen, Town of Barry, Massachusetts. I, Gregory P. O'Sullivan, Clerk for the Select Board of the Town of Barry, Massachusetts, do hereby certify that on July 17, 2017, it was announced at a public meeting of the Board of Selectmen that the Department of Conservation and Recreation may acquire an interest in a parcel of land located in Barry as shown on the attached locus map marked Exhibit A. And that, as we have been discussing, is a parcel of land approximately 25.8 plus or minus acres out off of Mile Road. That is all.
Hear ye, hear ye. It's
Okay,
been
we're all
said,
set
town
now.
of.
Yeah, we have the next issue, the contract issue.
Yeah, Nancy brought over her contract for her software. Just
Who
needs
gets
to be
this one?
signed. I'll take it. This is with Vadar, who we've had, so we're just, the contract must be up. So, just needs a motion and some signatures. Oops.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the contract.
I make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll
Do I have
second
a
the
second?
motion.
Vicky seconded it.
I did second the
Joe,
motion.
you second? Okay. Any discussion? Call for a vote in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, we've got EMS bills.
Yep, so what happens with the EMS bills is, the EMS company that we hire, which is Coastal Billing, they exhaust all efforts of collection on the ambulance bills, and that once they become uncollectible, the board has to vote to write them off, so that they stop sitting, on the book, so to speak. So that's what this is, and I'm trying to see if there's a dollar amount in here. So it looks like the dollar amount that they are requesting is $47,031.74.
Question.
Shoot.
Is it possible for, I know with credit card companies they do it, can that debt be sold to somebody at a fraction so someone else can go try to collect it before we sign it off as a zero?
I think that,
Gotcha.
in working with this company and from like going backwards,
Thank you.
there's no way to get any collections off of this. So when they ask us to write it off, it's because it's truly, they've
Exhausted.
tried everything that they can to do this. And with medical, it might be a little bit different than credit card, because it's a medical, so I'm not sure.
The HIPAA stuff may come into play.
Because I think in the past, when we've written off past stuff before, that question was asked, and I think she said that they do use like other parties underneath us. If they can't collect through their means, they have a collector that then they go to, and this is the end of the road for these accounts.
Okay.
I think these aren't what you consider commodities people want to buy from someone because you have no power to force it. Because
Right.
you can't put liens or things or credit card, what do they call it?
And some of these people are
The
deceased.
FICO score thing, you can't
Yeah,
apply
some of
it
these
against.
people are deceased, and there's just, it's just uncollectible.
About the only action a company would have if they were pursuing these would be legal action, but that may be too costly to bother with. And that's what those all come down to.
Okay. Claire?
Can we, before you write it off, can we check with that company and make sure they are going after the secondary insurances? Because I know I've questioned them before, and all they
Okay.
keep saying is they go for Medicare or like somebody with primary insurance, but if you have Medicare, you have a supplementary insurance.
Right.
So I can read the letter that accompanied this.
What the chief had said because Bobby had addressed that, was that when they run the person's insurance at the hospital, they get up, all the secondaries and supplementals come up, and they do pursue all of them.
Do they really though?
That-
Because when he talked to me, he wasn't really sure.
Right. But that was my question also, if they were sellable, maybe someone gives you 10 cents on the dollar and they take their chance at it. But I don't know if they're sellable.
Okay, I can read
It
this.
should be.
Yeah, I can read this
Collecting.
along with this. It says, attached is a report of claims that we have deemed uncollectible. Each claim has progressed through a series of events in the collection process. Each patient has received approximately 6 bills. In addition, Coastal Medical Billing has made an attempt to contact the patient for insurance information through the mail of a notice printed on pink paper and via phone to the patient and/or receiving hospital, to the receiving hospital in an attempt to obtain billing information. Several of the claims on this list have been returned as bad mail. When these claims are returned to our office, they are checked on our skip trace database and our POSC, Mass Health, or MDN, or passport databases and corrected and sent out again. If the claim comes back again, a phone call is made to the receiving hospital again. If we are unable to obtain the patient's correct address or billing information, the claims are placed in the town's schedule. Claims in free care, HSN, or uninsured UNIN schedules are also included in this report. Also included are claims in the hardship or deceased schedules. These claims may have been previously sent to you for review, and if we had no response, are listed for your second review. So it seems like they exhaust all
Right,
avenues.
and they call them and they call the hospital both to get what they can.
Mhm.
Doesn't
many-
change my question is whether or not
Did they
they're
tell you
selling.
how many
If
that
it's
was?
40 grand, you get tens of dollars.
Yeah, we have a
4,000.
list, but because of HIPAA, they're
Somebody
not,
wants to
it's
send
not
them a
releasable,
court
but.
But you
Make a
could
day
say
in
the
court?
count,
Is there
how
a
many,
general denominator, does it?
or estimate it.
Okay.
I know it's 4,000, but why throw away 4,000?
57,
It's whether or not people take it.
yep.
Don't know.
Thank you, Faye.
Mhm.
Any other towns have done.
We need to vote on
I
that.
think for the future.
We
something
do,
happen
yep,
tonight.
to write off that, amount. So it's $47,031
Do I
and
have a
74
motion on
cents.
that, or?
I would make a motion to write off the amount of these, which I believe we said was 41,000. 47,000.
31,
$31 and
74 cents.
74 cents as uncollectible.
I second that motion.
Okay, discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Aye.
The next thing we have is the annual appointments. I spoke with Matt today and Charlie, and I didn't have a chance to speak to you, Greg. I recommend that you make a motion to appoint everyone as listed, and this list will be attached to the meeting minutes.
Okay, except we need to take the police search committee off.
Yeah, that was one thing I was gonna ask you guys to do. If you could end, the police chief search committee and the town administrator search committee.
Okay.
That will take them off of the lists.
That's right. Okay.
I'd have to look at a copy of that before I vote on it.
I think it's in your
I
packet.
don't have any packet today. I came straight to
Oh.
meeting because I was late,
Okay.
so there's no packet now, so I guess I
Okay.
have a chance to review it.
We can put this off till the next meeting.
Some of these people are acting in capacity at this point without being appointed.
Right. What does the board want to do?
You guys don't have to wait for me, you can move if you want to.
I understand it, but, you know. Do you want to wait or?
Not a big deal to me either way.
Okay.
I'm just trying to give him a chance to at least go through each page and see if he's got
Just
something.
seeing if anything stands out, that's all.
What I would like to do is, if possible, reach out to each member and verify that they are still interested.
Well, they'll get an email after this, or a letter.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could you confirm or
I
request
did.
a return response for confirmation that they still want to be a part of it? Well, we still have the civilian enforcement law, whatever advisory board that has
Mhm.
one member that, I'd like to know that that member still actually wants to be a part of it, because haven't had a lot of response for those that said they were interested in being on a board like that.
That person's term is up. If they do not come in, then we'll know it remains vacant. They'll get a letter saying they've been reappointed. I did
Mhm.
call the majority of those committees on there and say, is everybody on your committee still interested in being on the
Okay.
committee? I'm hoping this year with the database that we use, that we can obtain everybody's email addresses, because I could send a one-click email to everybody, and they'd be able to say, okay, you're up for reappointment, are you interested, or whatever.
What are the duties of the Public Safety Building Committee now that the building is?
Well, we have not taken property of the building at this point.
Not
That's
our
why
building yet.
I suggest we leave that there until
They
next year.
turn the building over to us.
I mean, we still have a punch list to cover, and
According to their charge though, do they actually still have a role?
I don't
They
know.
I
Would-
thought it
would
ended
leave
back
it.
at design and programming almost.
Mhm.
That's what I'm wondering,
Because-
why leave that intact for the year as well? I don't, unless,
But either way,
is there harm in reviewing this later, looking into that? Because that would be three things we would strike off the list between the administrative search, police search, and that building.
If it hurts to make the appointment, then go back and
just let it expire in a month
Just
when
let it
they pass it
expire.
over.
Mhm.
I mean, we could do that too, like when they're done, they're just
So
done
you guys-
anyway, and we just.
Right, when the building's done, you guys could make a vote to end the committee.
Yeah,
Yep.
We could
Okay.
also make a vote to approve that without the chief of police search committee, the administrative search committee, and have the public safety and building committee expire upon our acceptance of the public safety building.
could do that. You could-
Yep,
Be
and
done
that's
all at
almost,
once.
just missing the word I make a motion.
I'm just suggesting, but
No,
I
I'm
always,
just
I
playing with
always
you,
shove my
Greg, come
foot in my
on.
mouth and make a
I'm just
motion.
playing with
And every
you.
time I do, we
Just-
change it, so I figured I'd propose it to kind of hypothetically
Yeah, I
for
got you,
us.
and I agree
Because I
with
keep
it.
speaking before we get a chance to discuss much, so. But that would be my thought, if we pull the two committees out, the search committees, then have that committee expire upon our acceptance of the building.
Gotcha.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
Make a motion to
Reappoint.
reappoint all those listed on the appointment status report with an expiration date of June 30th, 2017. That's
With-
what it's written here. Except for,
No, that's when they expire.
I'm just speaking to the
Oh.
title on the sheet, just for reference, because that's, so this would then continue them for another year or 3, depending on their term. Except for the police search committee,
Please choose
the
search.
town administrator search committee,
And Phil's.
and we will,
Phil is on there.
On CMRPC though, right?
Thought he was listed as town administrator. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I got that one.
yes, he is.
Okay, so TA search, okay. Anything else?
Except for the
Police search, TA search.
Public safety.
TA,
police search committee discontinued. Town administrator search committee discontinued. Redefine town administrator from Phil Hubbard to Andrew Golis. And discontinue the public safety building committee upon the acceptance of the public safety building.
Okay, fair enough.
I second that motion.
Okay,
I'm
discussion.
writing that down.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Kathy?
Has the town received any applications for the personnel board? Is that curiosity?
just one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Still looking for more.
And how many members on the board?
I think there's either 5 or 7. Not 100% sure. It's been so long.
Okay, do we have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes, well, correspondence.
Do you have
Oh,
any?
yep, I have some correspondences.
Okay.
So one thing, I have 2 things in correspondence, recent correspondence. We got a letter from the Department of Energy Resource stating that we received a Green Communities Grant Award in the amount of $116,199 for the following projects, which looks like energy savings light improvements, almost all of them, for town hall, town offices, public library, station 1, station 2, senior center, well 3, Department of Public Works, to the town, and CMRPC to help us institute this. So that's good news.
If we can switch to
Yes.
LEDs or some of that, that's a huge, like a
I
90%
think-
savings in electric
yeah,
costs on lighting.
sure.
That's monumental. These things like
Letter that we
100
got,
watts a piece.
which,
Look at street lighting.
was for the transfer station property. We received correspondence from an abutter asking, basically saying that there's an apparent lack of upkeep to the transfer station, that they're not mowing outside of it, and it hasn't been done for a couple of years. That Waste Management used to mow outside of there, trim along the fence, keep the pavement swept, hired workers to patrol the sides of the road to pick up any trash, stating that they were a good neighbor. And last year, and continuing this year, the grass has not been mowed, the perimeter's not been trimmed, the winter sand has not been swept, and overall the appearance has degraded, and they no longer consider this transfer station a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Um,
I
And that's just
mentioned it
speaking
down-
to the outside.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mentioned it down at the town barn, and asked Shannon to mention it to Jason. I haven't had a time to follow up.
Yep, so I think this also, we received another written one, I don't know, it came to Phil about the same thing, somebody's concerned about that, so, and the Board of Health received some complaints as well, I don't know if it's the same too, but Andrea stated, she sent it to DPW and it came back, and this parcel is not part of the transfer station parcel. The town owns this parcel, it's where the well comes through. Is that right, Charlie? Is that,
Across the
am I
street?
correct?
Which parcel are you speaking of?
Across the street from the,
Nope. Again, abutting the transfer station, there's just a little piece of land along Vernon Ave that the town owns, separate from the parcel of the transfer station, and that is where the well comes through or something? Am I right, Charlie? Do you remember what she said?
Yeah, and I know they own the right-of-way for Vernon Avenue. Then there is the railroad right-of-way.
Yep.
And then there is another piece of land that is owned by, privately owned, where those, and then comes the large piece that's owned industrial.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very strange pattern, but I thought that we would be responsible for the outside of the
Mm-hmm.
thing. I don't know.
So no, maybe you guys can discuss this at the next DPW meeting.
Yeah, we will.
I'm a little confused. Is the Board of Health doing anything on this letter?
No, because I do not believe so. They had received another letter prior to this, and she had sent it down to DPW, the prior complaint, or maybe it was the same complaint, I don't know. And Andrea explained to me that the transfer station is not responsible for this.
But what about the same fence line going up Depot Road? Isn't that what it's called, Berry Depot Road?
Mm-hmm.
That frontage is still now transferred property maintenance requirements. They've also let one of two of the wooden platforms that used to access 3 dumpsters that they've now let just rot and fall away. Now there's only 2 dumpsters they put there because, well, they don't need the landing, but it was landing that, it was in good condition when we gave it to them, and now it's fallen apart in disarray. The compost pile is up high enough you can see it over the fence, so they're not managing the compost. The metal pile is filling up almost to the top, and you can see it from the street a long ways down. And so I'm not seeing, and part of it might be perception, so I'm just bringing it up, and if the Board of Health needs any support from us, if it's possible, because of the contract mechanism and what role the Select Board plays versus what role the Board of Health plays in the contract with Solid Waste Solutions. I know that agreement occurred before I got there, so I'm not sure how we defined who owns what in enforcing that contract versus enforcing just state regs. But the equipment is something we gave them and they had to maintain, it doesn't sound like it, and I think when I read the letter, he was one of the abutters mentioned that he can hear the front end loader
That's in this too.
squealing because it doesn't sound like it's been greased
Yep, and
in forever.
Andrea told Charlie and I the other day that Dana, chairman of the Board of Health, he's mechanically friendly. He was going to go down there and take a look at that and see what's going on and address that.
Okay, so, all right.
So
But-
they're acting on some of their issues, I guess, within
Okay.
the transfer station,
Yeah.
but she's saying, the Board of Health is saying this is not part of this parcel,
Yeah.
so we can't make this contractor take care of this.
Okay,
Well, you kind of can. I mean, it's almost like every other town. If you got a sidewalk in front of your property, it's the owner of the property that has to shovel it. You still got to, or if you got a strip of grass between a sidewalk and a street, the owner deals with the strip of grass, not DPW running down to mow a 2-foot strip all the way down the road in residential neighborhoods. It's not generally the town's responsibility to hit every patch of grass. It's the abutters and the people that have that space. I mean, that's technically, I think, still considered frontage for that property, even though we may have a right-of-way or an easement or something there. There's
No,
still
I
a
think it's-
shared maintenance of that spot.
I think the way Andrea explained it to Charlie and I is that the town owns that property. There's not an easement, it's a separate parcel in front.
I think
I
we
don't
can
know.
cover it when they're mowing
I would have to look at
roadsides
that
and-
map
I don't
again,
know.
because I
We'll
don't
get
recall
Tom
seeing
taken-
that as a
We
separate thing
can
on the
send this-
assessor
You
map.
guys can take this
Yeah,
to
I'll
DPW,
talk.
I don't think this really.
I think when they're mowing roadsides, I think we can take care of this.
Okay.
I don't think it's that big a problem.
Okay, what's that?
Yeah,
Okay, the next letter we got was from Dean Iandoli. He wished to just basically say thank you to the board for his time and for your time and consideration with the decision made for the what do you call it? Letter of non-opposition.
right.
How are they doing with their licensing?
I don't know. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, anything else to bring up? Andy, you got anything?
No?
There's a chance.
Anyone else? I guess we can look for the
Right now,
appropriate
it's something
motion.
official. I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second, in favor?
Aye.
Before 10.
Thank you. Before we get into the business of the meeting, I'd like to introduce our new town administrator, Andrew Golis, this is his very first day and first meeting, so we're welcome you aboard, and I think we look forward to working with you.
Looking forward to it. Your staff's been great, really been accommodating. Met with a lot of people today, really had a great first day. Looking forward to hitting it again tomorrow.
Okay, good. Welcome aboard. First order of business is minutes.
I don't have any minutes.
Okay.
I apologize. I do have a request though, Charlie. We have a couple people before
Yeah.
us. If we could move the agenda around maybe. Chief, do you mind? Okay.
Okay. Why don't we start with Bill, you're here for some switching around of some things. Come forward. Get into the hot seat, I guess.
Okay. I'd like to start by asking the chief if there were any problems with the race last weekend. I thought it went really well. You guys did a heck of a job.
Thank you. It was my first time doing one of those, and it was really well done.
We had over 2,000 people. No one got injured, no transports. Had a couple of twisted ankles for a 7.5-mile course with mud and obstacles, almost 30 obstacles. They did a really super job, and everybody had a great time.
Good.
That's great.
So I'm here for the Spartan Race special permit. You've got all the stuff, I assume, and just want to make sure it's okay with you guys to continue with that. And I'm kind of on here on behalf of Spartan so they don't have to fly somebody in.
Okay, so yeah, we have the application for the Spartan event in here. I have all sign-offs except for conservation and planning. Conservation has already approved it. Planning board is meeting tonight, and I spoke with the chair, and he didn't see any reasonable or unreasonable reasons why they would not approve it. So I would ask that if you guys would approve it pending the final signature from planning.
And the date for this?
August
6th, 7th?
8, 5, and 6, so August 5th and 6th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a 2-day event, rather, the last one we had was 1 day.
Mhm.
And that seems to be just about right for our farm to have like 3 days of racing, two different companies. This is not something that I'm gonna be doing more than that of. It's takes a lot of work to get ready for these things. And
Yeah, imagine it
so
does.
we're just we're honored to have Spartan come and honored to have Savage come to town for these races.
Okay.
Did I notice that you changed the bus route?
It
Not
was a
coming down
smaller
Williamsville
event,
anymore?
So they didn't do the loop on Sunrise.
Okay.
I think for Spartan, they probably will do the loop because
Okay,
of the
due to
amount of buses.
Okay, I was just curious if it was what type of change that might have been.
Yep. They might be able to do it that way, but we kind of left it up to the bus company that if it turned into a problem to go the long route.
Okay, yeah.
And so, don't really know, we kind of do it whatever works best. And if we start having problems, we'll make it one way. Because the trees on that road are getting ridiculously large, and it's getting hard to get by with 2 buses.
Okay.
So with the smaller group, the buses never really passed, and they were talking to each other.
Okay.
And also it was a little wet, so they went up Sunrise with the cars and in. With Spartan, they go in from Route 62, and they'll probably stick with that because of the amount of traffic. So
Okay.
we kind of fine tune it every time, and we're getting pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Seemed to go smooth.
Do you have any questions?
Sure. I'm a little naive. Why does this come before us, is my curiosity?
It's a special event permit.
And last I understood, the select board has to have that, and was put off the table at a town meeting. It belonged in the hands of the planning board.
No, the bylaw for special events was taken off, was tabled at town meeting, but we still, as you guys still as the select board, still had this permit in effect, but a bylaw for special events was never approved.
Okay, so is this generally a select board policy? Is that kind of what
It
this
doesn't
is?
fall under policy, but the
builds this up.
selectmen, due to some events that went uncontrolled at Colebrook, the selectmen needed a mechanism to be able to alert our public safety departments and other
And
people.
I understood there was a permitting issue that was established through the planning board within our bylaws already. And that was the issue when they tried to put it up in front of the select board, is that was a conflict. It was already a permitting issue through.
Zoning. There's something in zoning under,
That would be something I challenge you to look up during the week, please, because I think we're overstepping our bounds in times like this. But I have no objections to it, but I'm curious as to why it's here, and I thought it didn't belong here. I thought it was at a different department in town already taken care of. So I'd just like to make sure of that before we continue having people come before us if it's not necessary.
Well, it's not just that we have to come before you, we have to go before the planning board.
Right, and I think the permit goes to it.
Conservation Commission, it's
Right.
ridiculous to do a running race that you have to do this, I think. Planning
Well,
board, why the planning board?
certainly police, fire, EMS, the emergency services sign off.
Right.
Planning board, I thought they were the ones in control of these events. My understanding, but we're gonna find out, but
When
for
they
now.
bring it before the planning board, they always say, why do you have to come here for this?
Yeah, I would wonder
It's
that
like-
myself.
We're gonna have to figure it out, because if
Yeah,
it belongs here and stays here, we'll do that, but
It'd be really nice if you could get that a little
I
bit
specifically
smoother.
tabled that at a town meeting. So
Over the
it was
years,
in
we
front of this committee.
dealt with these type of things this way.
We'll find out.
special
For
events.
tonight,
It's
I
been
have
done
no
this way
objections.
for
I
years.
think it's a great event.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and you got a few cows you gotta milk between this whole
That's right.
Hanging.
Paid to do, and,
hanging over you.
yeah.
Okay, I'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to accept the request.
Okay, do I have a
Second?
Second, any further discussion? Okay.
I'll revise that motion. I make a motion to accept the request pending final sign off by the other boards. I know it's gonna happen,
And
but
Faye, you said that was tonight?
It is.
Then I'll second the amended motion.
in
Okay.
20 minutes, they're gonna be
Yeah,
upstairs.
7 o'clock.
Do you think I need to go to that? I don't think so.
Yeah, they didn't think that there would be any,
Right,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
You haven't really changed
No.
any of your traditional routes or,
It's exactly the same as last year, so.
One more thing, I forgot to print and put in this folder, a one-day liquor license as well. That's
I
something
have
that
no
they request.
documentation with me tonight.
So I'll get that printed out from them, and I'll have you guys sign it after if you wanna just also take care of that.
were you just going beyond the
No,
regular
they don't
beer serve?
request it,
Spartan?
Spartan requests it because.
I'm here on behalf of Spartan.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'm not even happy about, they won't let me serve beer there because they have a contract with other vendors.
Oh, I gotcha, that's their
Mhm.
kind of big umbrella contracts that they have for all their
Yes.
events and,
So,
okay.
like, we served beer for the Savage race, but I'd like to get into that, but, they sign on with Coors or something, so.
So that, they'll be coming to us for that.
If you guys could just
No,
take
but-
care of it tonight.
This is
we had-
it.
Yeah,
I thought we
This
had
is
to-
them doing that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought they had to post it.
No, one-day liquor licenses don't require
Okay.
that.
Okay. Alrighty, why don't we do them separately and then we're covered. I'll call for a vote.
Are they identifying where they're gonna be serving? It's a
It's
little
probably-
different
I
than
think it's on
the
their plot-
owner's
it's
vote,
on their
kind of
plot
a
plan.
controlled spot would be a
Yeah,
better.
it's up at the venue area like it always has been.
Okay.
Okay,
I
I'll
was
call
just
for a
curious.
vote on the motion to approve the event.
This is just
Oh.
for the one day.
Right.
No, I
No,
thought
this
we
is
were-
not
we're
the
gonna
liquor
finish-
license.
Voted that,
We'll
so.
finish the other one and keep the,
I did read the plan, it's a double tent, it's gonna be twice the size of what they did, they're doing 2 tents for the liquor, and it's all cordoned off.
And I
Okay.
assume it's gonna wind up being
Okay,
a
thank you.
2-day permit, not a 1-day permit.
It's, actually, yes, you're correct, but no, ABCC refers to it
Two
as a
separate
one-day.
one-day.
No, they refer to it just as a one-day liquor license, and the
Ah, I
dates will
gotcha.
be the 2 dates.
okay.
That's all,
I
sorry.
think we better do the, just
Yep,
make
let's
sure
finish our
the
vote.
liquor
In the past, they
license
advise
separately,
having it
having, been to the ABCC.
at the day before the event and the day after the event in order to cover setup and breakdown.
Okay.
Mhm.
Call for a vote on the event itself.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're all set. Now the liquor license.
Mhm.
I just say keep it separate because,
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a separate permit.
yeah, it's a separate permit. Over the years, I've been to the ABCC for hearings, and a 2-day license for the sake of 1 day is about the way they argue things. I don't know, apparently in Boston, the day is 24 hours longer. But, so I will call for a motion on the license, to extend the license.
I make a motion to accept the request for a 1-day liquor license for August 5th and 6th.
Yeah, if we wanted to extend it, like Andrew said, and do the 4th through the 7th,
Yeah, just.
the
just
serving
so that-
days will only be the 5th and the 6th, though.
Just because you have the alcohol
Exactly.
on premise possibly the day
Right.
before for sale.
Well, if that's, yeah.
Okay, do I
Yep.
have a
I'll
second?
accept that.
Yep, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think you're all set.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
I just need you guys
Good
to
luck.
sign this.
Good luck.
Here.
This is the
Special event.
special
I'll
event.
print the liquor, the 1 day, and leave for you guys to sign.
It's the, yes, the event.
Okay, Lester. Okay, you didn't have to sit here till 10 o'clock. You can thank the
Thank
chief.
Chief for that.
Is the best part.
I have a lot to thank the chief for.
I request we table this. I'm just joking.
Okay.
Told you it was gonna be quick.
I know. First of all, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I'm here representing the Board of Library Trustees as its chair. We've had a resignation from Joseph Dapper, who served on the board for 12 years. He was relocating out of town. We are nominating to you, recommending to you for appointment, unanimously, David Deschamps, who is currently a member of the Crawford Regional School Committee. He's also a 26-year teacher in Hardwick and a 4-year teacher at Warren. He has a deep and abiding interest in the library. And, as I said, we voted unanimously to recommend him to you.
Okay. And that's the recommendation of the trustees?
That is the recommendation of the trustees.
What's
Did he
the-
file an official just application for the record?
Right here.
I'm sorry. Okay.
We did, Lester had it, he just gave it to me back tonight.
Okay.
What's the term ending?
It would end at the election next April, and then he would have to run for the remainder of Joe's unexpired term,
Okay.
which I believe is 2 years.
Okay.
The full term is 3 years. This appointment only covers him until next April.
Going to be able to get up to all these
Oh,
meetings?
this is just filling in,
This is
and then
just-
it'll go on the
this is taking
ballot.
Joe's place, and then he'll go on the ballot next April and fill the unexpired term.
I gotcha.
And then when that is over, if he so chooses, he can run for the full term.
Gotcha.
It's a lot of meetings in the school committee. Do you have any questions?
Remember names.
Anybody else, Andy? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to appoint Dave Deschamps along with the library trustees to the board of.
I make a motion to appoint Dave Deschamps to that position for the remainder of this year.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's not even 7.
Just visiting?
Okay, go right, it's all right with the board, would bypass the selectmen for now, and bring the chief up. You don't have to sit. Chief, why don't you come forward?
Okay, I wanted to give you an update on the department, some of the things we have going on. I have finished the 5-year plan, so you'll see a copy of that probably on Faye's desk for review. Then
The capital 5-year.
it's a 5-year, it's not necessarily a capital,
Oh, okay.
it's a 5-year direction for the department. We put it together after doing some surveys and the best practices and things of that nature. So I'll leave it up there. Once you guys have read it and are going to give me questions, then I'll answer the questions. And then we're all done with that. We'll put it on the website. So it's out there.
Okay.
We have this ceremony on Tuesday. I take it everybody's going to be there for that. I mean, Saturday. And so we're just, at this point, we're waiting for IT to do their part. And determine what's whether we have our building access, whether we have computers in, whether we go forward with the fire alarm. Adam says we'll have enough to go forward. We're just waiting to hear from him.
Okay.
Officer Ryle, our newest officer, who, if you weren't aware, we probably are, he was a part-timer here for a couple of years, left, came back with a full-time position. Deputy's doing great. He's working out very well for us because obviously he really wanted to be a Barry officer anyway. He was a Barry officer and he's hit the ground running. An example would be, I think it's the 19th, the library had asked for us to do a crime scene for kids 5 to 12, and he's put together a great crime scene exercise for kids. So he's enthusiastic. He's taking initiative. Deputy Chief Saborin graduates, I think it's August 18th, from the 10-week command training class, which is it's a big plus for us. So he's gone through. He's got a couple of weeks left, and so this week and then 2 other weeks in August, and he's getting things like budgeting, crime, or crisis management. The racial profiling stuff, internal affairs, overview, and just all the myriad, and he's going to come back with certificates and things like that that are a really important part of the jacket going forward as an administrator. We've identified 2 levels of training for our first line supervisors. One is the MPTC training, which is a week long, and I believe it's held down by Boston. And then the other is the Roger Williams first line supervisor training, which is a 2-week class at Roger Williams. So that we can afford to do it, we're going to send Sergeant Brown to the Roger Williams class in the fall. We're going to send Sergeant Recos after that to the MPTC training, and then next year we'll flip it so they both get it, but we don't do the Roger Williams for 2 guys in 1 calendar year because it's not overly expensive, but it does cost money to send somebody. But it's recognized, and what you'll find is that most of the New England area sends their first line supervisors, corporal and above, to that class. So it's an important class to go to. As far as the SRO program goes, we're moving forward with that. We're just not sure who it's going to be. That's something I'll discuss with you in executive session. But we did the patrol checks at the school, and that was a good introduction to the SRO program because we got, the kids got used to us, the faculty got used to us, the officers got used to going into the schools, and by the end you couldn't get out of the elementary school without being mobbed. So it's good, and at the high school it was good too. You got to interact with some of the teachers, to hear how loud it is at lunchtime for the junior high school kids, and they got to talk to us in the hall. So it was all good. Everything's going forward. We met with the administrators, and whatever any concerns they had, and addressed whatever minor concerns they might have had, which is just basically the newness of having a police officer in the building. And at some point during the summer, we'll sit down with the superintendent and see what if they should have a board policy regarding the SRO in the school, and we will have I'll present to you a policy on our end as well. I haven't had the meeting with her yet, any kind of final meeting regarding that, but one should come up. So far, everything is going well. We are test firing new sidearm. Our sidearm has reached its life expectancy, so anything from this point forward, pushing all these rounds through it, not necessarily the best idea in the world. So we're looking to use we think we're going to find the sidearm. We're going up tomorrow actually to test fire, and it's going to also, we're still looking at SIGs because it's been a good gun and it's used by a lot of departments. And if we do decide to go forward with that, we'll look to get permission to use the administrative funds for that. So it won't come out, we won't be going for capital or anything of that nature for it. We are also at the end of the expectancy for our tasers, and that is because they don't support these anymore. There's software that goes along with these. The tasers updated their model at least twice since we got this. So if one breaks at this point, it's broken. They won't be able to fix it. So we're really forced to move forward into new tasers. So that's something we're going to have to look at over the next fiscal year. And our shotguns are something we're going to have to change over too, because they're pistol grips. And pistol grips mean you can't reach the safety, and we don't carry them hot. But if you get into a hot situation, it's difficult to activate it, to throw the switch. So we're going to look at those too. But every one of those, just giving you a heads up, we're looking at them. But obviously, before a decision is made, I'll come back and I'll run all this stuff down.
I assume with the shotguns, you can swap the butts out and the grip out instead of
And
the whole shotgun.
we may go that way. But we want to see if it's worth it, given the age of the gun, to whether we're going to do that or not. That may be where we go. I don't know. So I really want to have a shotgun armor look at our guns and see what the actual overall condition of the guns is. That may be where we go. So let's see. One of the best and brightest spots is that the Lieutenant Governor's office put us on a list for a live scan machine for APHIS. So that's the computerized fingerprint machine. We asked, and they decided, since we were sort of in a hub with our new building, that it could be something we could allow other departments to use. The live scan device gives you a turnaround time for fingerprints of anywhere from a few minutes to, maybe a few hours at the most. But usually it's a few minutes. You get back all of the records checks on somebody that you fingerprint. Great when you are fingerprinting a suspect, especially somebody that you don't know. So it gives you, if they're using an alias, you'll find out. And that's good. And we'd like to be able to allow departments around us to use that as well. And then license to carries. We process a lot of license to carries, and it's labor intensive because we have to mail out fingerprints to the state police and to the FBI. And you're talking maybe, if you're lucky, 5 weeks turnaround. So we would be reducing 5 weeks turnaround to 5-minute turnaround. And we could finish the license to carry and get the licenses back to the people in town so much faster. And it's probably a service that the agencies around us will want to buy into, because it'll help them too. And I think we process about 200 LTCs a year, so it's a lot. The cost of a machine, if we had to buy it, would be about, depending on which machine they're going to be bringing forward, $21,000 to $25,000. So they've told me that there's a grant coming out for them in October. We're on the list to get one. It's just a matter of when we get closer, they're going to send me paperwork. I'll bring it here because I'm going to guarantee it needs your approval. And then so the bad news that comes with that is that you have to pay a service fee every year, licensing and maintenance. So that's, the last I checked, about $3,500 a year. The way generally you handle that is you put a fee on top of the LTCs, it could be $5, and you put that towards it. And then if another agency is going to use it, well, then clearly they need to buy into the service contract, and so you just divide it up.
Yeah, I think we already do a software fee on a lot of our things in town.
I'm sorry?
We already do a software fee on many things in town, don't we?
Our permitting, we have a technology fee. Mhm.
Same thing.
Yep.
Everything.
So we should be able to, get at least, if not all that money, pretty much offset it. So we're thrilled because that's a gift. That they came through and told us that they would get that for us. So, and it's going to come through the state police, which means once the paperwork's completed, and once this grant comes through, and once we get it, the state police technicians will come out and set it up immediately, and then they monitor it. So if you have any issues, morning and night with something that you're actually doing with somebody, they're right online. That's not a fee. That's just a service that they provide. So there is no downside to getting the machine. And then the last bit of new business is, as I mentioned to you when I was interviewing, the policy manual needs to be done in at least thirds, 1/3 a year.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that, and so policies aren't something that I would present in a meeting. There's something for you to read it, when you have time. So I put a book up in Faye's office, stamped with the date that I delivered them to the book. So anytime that you guys go up there, there's a book there. However you want to review the policies, but they're up there for you to review them. And so by statute, I would give 30 days, and after 30 days, they become policies. So just check, regularly, so that when they're new, if you have, questions, or if you want to address or rewrite or something like that, just give me the heads up.
Is any of this
Could
digitized?
I was just going to request that you could, when you make updates, send out a notification to us, so we let us know there's something in there to look
I can
at.
actually put a sorter in that binder, so that the new ones, now going forward, these are new now, but anything going forward we can have on the front before they get added into the policy and order.
No, that would be great too,
Yeah.
because it would help me, but
I'll notify you. Right now, I think there's about 17 new policies in the book.
okay.
I was saying, does anyone have it digitized so that we could read it at least, not up here with the book? Difficult for the three of us to find time to sit and go through it, because we're certainly not here full-time, we're all working.
I'll look into that.
Okay, appreciate it.
Possibly a secure share program or something, so it can't really be.
So,
Steal a couple
Say-
hours every morning pretty easy. If I'm home, it's hard to come up here.
But I
that's all I
understand.
have for the update, unless somebody has any questions for me.
Are we discussing later the issue that came up
I
this
have
week?
no-
We have executive sessions.
No, but that's, I get nothing on your report. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate the update.
Yes, thank you.
We just hang out for a second. We can do executive session.
Okay, I think we can go into executive session for all three at once.
There's only two things, but yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We can go in and we'll exit and stay in.
Oh, there are two, you're right,
Just
I'm
two, yeah.
sorry. I'm
So
sorry.
just in your motion, remember that that we'll be going into open session following
Yes, yeah, I
the
got
two
that.
executive sessions.
So do we only have to make one motion though to go in for both?
Yep.
Or do we gotta go in and out and then back
Go
in and out?
Exactly. But on your first one, just that you're going to be going into open following the second.
Yeah, I got that, and approximately how long. Yes, so we'll have an executive session, and I will need a motion to go into executive session with our police chief on chapter 38, section 21.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session under MGL Chapter 38, Section 21, Paragraph 3, discuss police union negotiations. Following that, we will move forward with an executive session, MGL Chapter 38, Section 21, Paragraph 5, regarding potential criminal misconduct or criminal complaints or filings of such. After the executive sessions, we will be returning to open session to continue the remainder of the agenda of the meeting.
Okay.
Second
Approximately
motion.
how long do you think this would be in
Couple
for?
minutes, I just have to grab some notes that I didn't bring in about the ongoing case.
Sure.
Okay.
When he
Let's finish
returns,
that.
it'll take about 10 minutes and we'll probably have it back.
Okay. And what was that item that he was looking for a grant? What was that grant? The 21 to 25,000?
It's a live
Electronic.
scanning machine for fingerprinting.
Oh, okay, for fingerprints.
Yeah.
Digital scanner, so we don't have to,
So it'll
Take the
immediately
prints
go
and send
in.
them
Dipping
off.
your ink?
right.
Exactly. And it's gonna
And
be
it's-
hooked up to the network, so it's gonna
Network,
be matching to the huge database that the state and maybe even the FBI, I think, has on record, so it can do a quick, do we know who this is?
What's
It's a
that?
roll call vote to go into executive?
Hmm?
It's a
Yes.
roll call vote to enter.
Yes, I understand that. So, in favor of going in, we will be back into open session. Okay.
You want, yeah.
In favor?
I'm in
We're
favor.
just about to kick you out again, Mike.
That's fine.
No, that's fine.
I'll hang it up.
Just
Just
wanted to
wait.
let you know.
I'll do it, yep.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm in favor.
In favor?
Aye.